Thanks for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Chris Harapsky. Let's get right to your headlines. Developing right now, another shift in the trade strategy from the Trump administration. President Trump says the U.S. may place tariffs on Canadian lumber and dairy just one day after hitting pause on a 25% tariff on goods coming in from Canada and Mexico, at least for a month. Those goods include anything covered under the country's USMCA trade agreement that President Trump did during his first term. The president says the new tariffs could take effect as soon as today. Also new this afternoon, the Trump administration is ending collective bargaining for more than 50,000 TSA officers. Homeland Security says the move will, quote, remove bureaucratic hurdles and has, quote, constrained TSA's chief mission to safeguard our transportation, end quote. DHS says some of the unionized workers were poor performers and put American safety at risk. The latest agreement with unionized TSA officers was reached last year. Workers got better shift options, more money for uniforms, and additional parental weather and safety leave. New numbers show a record amount of people visited national park sites in 2024. But now we're finding out some park service buildings may shutter, including here in Minnesota. Jennifer Hoff is here to explain.
Guys, one at a time in there.
The visitor center may be small, tucked away at the Science Museum of Minnesota, but it's devoted to one of the state's biggest draws.
And that's this park
that John Anfinson worked on for 40 years.
I know the Twin Cities and the Mississippi River very, very well.
Anfinson used to oversee the Mississippi National River and Recreation Area, a 72-mile stretch running through 21 towns Congress designated a national park in 1988.
Everything the park does is in partnership with somebody.
Except the Trump administration is planning to reduce federal property leases, targeting 34 across the country, including that park's visitor center and its headquarters where 20 people work, an agreement Anfinson estimates is worth more than $300,000.
In the government budget, it's immeasurably small. It's tiny. I guess what they're looking at is what is the cumulative savings.
Leading people left to now speak out.
Save the park!
Including the nonpartisan group Defending Parks, saying the news leaves these spaces and employees in limbo.
Are they going to continue to be funded to be able to move to a new space or decide to renew in that space if they want to? It's really about, will they have federal funding to have space for their employees?
Anfinson says the selection wasn't strategic, only compounding the park's problems after the administration also laid off 1,000 employees last month.
Thank you!
Worried it won't be just buildings, but ultimately parks that start to close.
If you want to save money, give the Park Service a budget number to hit, but let them decide how they hit it. How do you have a national park that doesn't have an office or a visitor center? That's the real threat, is are they going to take the money too?
Jennifer Hoff reporting there. The visitor center has been in the lobby of the Science Museum since 2011. A spokesperson saying its closure would be a, quote, tremendous loss for the community, noting it's also not aware of any steps taken to terminate the lease, which is up in September. New today, the economy added 151,000 jobs and unemployment ticked up to 4.1% in the first full month of the Trump presidency. While the numbers are good, economists say it's likely too early to capture the full impact of the DOGE department and the layoffs that they have created. However, federal government employment declined by 10,000 in February. An update now on a 14-year-old who was injured during a school shooting in Madison, Wisconsin, is back home after 46 days in the hospital. In December, a student opened fire at Abundant Life Christian School, killing a classmate and a teacher, and then taking her own life. 6 other students were injured in that shooting. Freshman River Clardy was shot several times. One bullet hit his carotid artery, and another went through the back of his throat. He needed 5 surgeries in those first few days and was in the ICU with a breathing tube for almost 2 weeks.
River was losing a lot of blood from injuries to his neck. He was very close to dying.
He did not look like himself.
Vitals were stable, was all we were latching on to at the moment.
Over the next month, River had to relearn many things, including how to eat and walk. The other student, who was in critical condition after the shooting, is still at Children's Hospital. He is said to be in good condition and continues to recover. Happening right now, officials in Alaska are waiting for conditions to improve so that they can search for 3 missing skiers buried in an avalanche. 2 of those skiers have ties to Minnesota. 39-year-old David Linder was part owner of Radio Mankato, according to the network. The other victims were Jeremy Leaf of Minnesota and Charles Eppard of Montana. Officials say they got caught in the avalanche on Tuesday, about 40 miles south of Anchorage. This afternoon, we're getting an update on the death of legendary actor Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy Arakawa. How they died largely remains a mystery, but the medical examiner and police investigators will share what they know later this afternoon. Meantime, Liz Kreutz has new details from Santa Fe, New Mexico's fire chief.
1 week since the bodies of Gene Hackman, his wife Betsy Arakawa, and one of their dogs were found deceased in their 9,000 square foot Santa Fe home, their cause of death still a mystery. New this morning, the New Mexico Gas Company says they've now conducted what they call an extensive investigation of the home, saying there were no significant findings, only one minuscule non-lethal leak on a stove burner, which the Santa Fe fire chief Brian Moya says nearly all but rules out a gas leak.
They checked the roof, they checked every vent, they checked every part that had to do with gas. They checked, and there was no major finding.
But new details are emerging about the condition of Gene Hackman's body when he was found, which Moya says was in a similar condition to his wife's.
I know there was blackening on the hands, and we know he was there for at least a week and a half, so it was about the same.
Would that suggest that they both died within a similar time frame?
I think we wait for the autopsy on that one.
Right now, the best clue into when the 95-year-old actor died continues to be his pacemaker, which the sheriff says last showed activity on February 17th, nearly 10 days before the couple was discovered. The fire chief says the bodies were found 30 minutes apart, partly due to protocol as medics waited for the sheriff's department to arrive, and also due to the massive size of the home.
I was also told there's probably 3 homes on the property or 3 separate structures on the property, so they had to search each one of those structures.
Hackman was found in a mudroom and 65-year-old Arakawa in a bathroom where an open prescription pill bottle was on the counter along with scattered pills. Officials saying the medicine is a key part of the investigation. Hackman's nephew, Tim Hackman, now speaking out, telling Us Weekly the family doesn't want to speculate on negative theories out there and is trying to keep it positive.
Moving on now, a new message from Pope Francis as he marks 3 weeks in the hospital battling double pneumonia.
I thank you from the bottom of my heart for your prayers for my health from the square. I accompany you from here. May God bless you and the Virgin protect you. Thank you.
That message played in front of the crowd at St. Peter's gathering to pray for the Pope. This morning, the Vatican posted an update on Instagram saying the Pope had a restful night and is in stable condition right now. The 88-year-old entered the hospital on February 14th and was diagnosed with pneumonia in both lungs. Developing right now, 2 U.S. Army soldiers and a former Army soldier are in custody, accused of selling national defense information to China. The information is considered secret and top secret, and prosecutors say the soldiers eventually received $15,000 for the hard drives with that information on them. Some of the information sold is related to weapons systems, but that's all the Army is sharing at this point.
The information that is at risk here is information that identifies the United States military's capabilities, plans and intentions, and could really put us at a severe disadvantage if that were to fall in the wrong hands for an adversary.
Prosecutors say this all started in 2021 and lasted through last December. The FBI says 2 of the soldiers charged have security clearances and went through background checks. You're going to want to tune in to Dateline tonight on NBC. The special 2-hour episode on the first ever television interview with the convicted killer known as Mommy Doomsday, Lori Vallow. She's serving life without parole for, among other crimes, the murder of her 2 children in Idaho. She's now in an Arizona jail awaiting another murder trial. Here's Keith Morrison with a preview.
You're the most hated mom in America.
I heard that.
Are you misunderstood?
Absolutely.
We met Lori Vallow at a women's jail in Maricopa County. You remember the case, right? Who can forget it?
The media loves to take tragedies and turn them into crimes. I had a lot of tragedies in a row.
Perhaps she would finally tell us why. Why her children are dead, and her ex-husband and her lover's wife.
Are you keeping track?
Oh, yeah. Were all those awful events launched by a bit of pure chance? Or maybe something far more intentional?
I'm asking you a question. Did you watch your children die?
That's a really sad question.
You've made the decision to meet me for an on-camera interview because...
You've heard a lot of stuff, Keith. What I tell you will be the truth.
Whoa. Wow. Okay. That's all the advertisement you need to watch that special tonight. Hey, stick with us. More news, weather, coming up after the break.